The way you see marketing determines the level of success of your business. And I've noticed over the years that there are really 4 categories of people in terms of the way they view marketing, and it has a direct correlation to the results that they're experiencing in their business. So stay tuned, it's coming right up. Hello, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne. I'm a marketing strategist and business coach, and I've been in the marketing space for well over 25 years. I actually figured out it is 30 years since I started my marketing degree back in 1996. So there's been a lot. In 2010, I started my first small business, and I've been running my own businesses ever since then. So I have so much to share. I started this podcast to bring more female voices, more real women in business to your ears, to inspire you, to motivate you, to share strategies, mindset shifts, health, wealth, wellness, everything that goes into running a successful business as a person with a life, with humans, maybe with a family that you're responsible for as well. So I hope you enjoy this weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I just want to quickly remind you that my once a year live series is coming up. And it's coming up next week. It's called Master Your Marketing, starting on the 12th of March. So if you're not yet registered for it, then make sure you drop your name in now so that you get access to the live sessions. I am condensing down those 30 years that I've had in marketing into 3 short, sharp sessions. And I'm taking you through the core framework of marketing that really I've noticed most people do not have a handle on. Even if they've been running a business for years, they usually haven't got the actual strategic alignment happening in their business that makes marketing simple, makes sales simple, attracts the right clients in, and ultimately leads to that successful business. So I'm sharing it all with you in this training, and please head to jessicaosborne.com/MYM, which stands for Master Your Marketing, just to pop your name on the list and come and join us. Okay, so we are back with today's topic, which is all about the way you see marketing determines the level of success you experience in your business. Now, this is something I have noticed from years and years that I have spent coaching women in business. It's almost a decade that I've clocked up now that I've been a business coach, specifically in marketing, because that's my speciality. And I've been online, I've been in the Facebook groups, I've been in the online forums, I'm on Threads, and I always just pay attention to the comments, the chit chat, the things that are going on where people are talking about marketing. And I've realized that there are really 4 groups of people, 4 types, that categories that people fit into with how they perceive marketing. And this actually has a direct correlation to the business, that results that they're experiencing right now, like how well their business is doing and what's happening. So I'm going to share them with you now, and you can then listen in and see which one of these 4 you might fit into. And yeah, I'd love to know, does this work for you? Does the categories align for you? Is this true? Or, please share with me if you've got some feedback that you think, well, actually, you fit into a different category. I'd love to hear from you, because I'm sharing what has been my experience and the insights I've had over so many years, so many clients I've worked with, unpacking the barriers that are stopping them and their marketing from being successful, because it's so often not about the doing. It's actually in the whole way you're thinking about it, your approach, I'm not going to say the word mindset, I'm going to say your perception, your belief, and therefore the decisions and actions that you take that fall out from those perceptions and beliefs on marketing. And it's just incredible how this happens. So I will first of all excuse my voice. My kids, bless them, have passed on to me some beautiful bug that they picked up last week, where they've been coughing for the last week. And, we've still been going to all the sporting activities, sports carnivals, swim carnivals. They won some medals and things like that over the weekend. So we've been trucking through, but of course now I've come down with it. So I'm sorry that my voice is a little bit croaky and out of sorts today. Hopefully you can forgive me for that and we can crack on. So the very first group we have, I call these the avoiders. So the avoiders are people who actually are blatantly trying to avoid doing marketing. They're like, I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to be a marketer. That's a really common thing that they say to me. I don't want to be a marketer. And so they're avoiding doing it in their business. And, this is a problem because, as you would know, a business needs clients in order to operate. Business is oxygen that it breathes, that it lives on, is revenue, and obviously profitable revenue. But you need clients and you need those sales to happen. And the way that those happen, that has happened ever since the beginning of time, is through marketing. Like, very, very rarely can you jump straight to sales without any marketing and have the sale be successful. People try this all the time. They do try to go straight to the sale, and then they're like, well, why is it not working? And these are the people who you see popping up in your inbox with their cold pitch. They're just like, let's jump over the whole marketing journey, go straight to the sale. And how often are you really ever A, responding to them, B, signing up with them? No, because they've skipped that whole relationship thing. It's sort of like meeting a stranger and asking them to marry you. Like, the first words that you say, hey, lovely to meet you. Would you like to get married? You're going to be like, whoa, no, I'm not ready to do that yet. And that's what happens when people try to skip marketing and go straight to selling. It very, very, very rarely, I'm not going to say never, because I know it does on occasion. Someone insane might say yes, but they are insane and you're probably not going to be your ideal client either. But there's a process, there's a formula to how this works. And nowadays, I actually saw today I don't know where they got this data from, so whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's my statistic. However, they said we regularly need 50 touch points now with a brand before we're kind of ready and in that place to sign up. Now, it used to be 7 back in the early 2000s when I was doing a lot of my marketing leading, and I used to coach through strategic workshops and things like that. I would commonly say, you need at least 7, and 15 is great. That would be what I was coaching people on then. Now they're saying 50. I really don't know where that's come from, but just to give you an idea, that's what marketing is. It's these touch points, right? So back to the avoiders. The avoiders don't want to do it. They tend to either be jumping straight to selling, but they usually don't like that either. So they're often the people who are relying on referrals and referrals only. And that obviously is a really risky way to run your business because you've got zero control over it. Referrals coming from other people are not consistent. There's no pattern to them unless you are really involved in driving that process, which 99.9% of people are not. They're just sort of waiting for the referrals to pop into their inbox. So look, at times it can work beautifully. Sometimes it works well for a short period of time, but I have never met anybody who relies on referrals as the only source of leads and sales, who says they have an absolutely consistent business they can rely on. Usually this is, you're still in the side hustle mode. You've got referrals coming in, but you're relying on your job as your main income, and that's why it's not as important for you. But if you want to do your business full time, then you need to build a business that you can rely on. And that means that you need to be in charge of your lead generation, people putting up their hands saying, I'd like to work with you, and the sales process. And that obviously starts with marketing. So let's dive into the avoiders. Why are they wanting to avoid marketing? Clearly, we know that we need the clients. It's the principle of running businesses. It's been around for hundreds of years, is marketing helps to create the leads and they turn into sales. And the better you do it, the better the sales are, the faster and easier the sale is. And that's been proven so many times. I don't really need to prove it again to you. You can just look back into history and see it. So why are we trying to avoid it? Why are they, the avoiders, saying, I don't want to do it? Well, usually they've attached some form of identity or meaning to it. So when I press them further and say, well, tell me what it is about marketing that you don't like. And they'll be like, well, it's slimy or sleazy. I don't want to be that annoying person. Or they say it's lacking integrity. You know, some people they're very triggered by an experience that they've had in the past. And they're like, you know, marketers aren't trustworthy and they can't be trusted. And okay, I understand. So we've attached an identity and maybe even an experience that you've had in the past with somebody who was doing marketing in a way that did not resonate with you. And now you've labeled all marketing as being like that. And so they think subconsciously that if they start doing marketing, that it's going to change their identity and they're going to then become one of those people that they don't like, that is lacking integrity, or that is convincing people, or being too noisy or pushy, or whatever it is for them. But let me ask you, do you think that those people that you experienced doing marketing that way were not that way before, and then because they were doing marketing, they became that way? Or is it actually just the way that those people are, and so then they're doing marketing, and that's how they do marketing, is in that way? Can you think of anybody who does own a business, is successful, and does marketing, but isn't lacking integrity and isn't somebody who's slimy, pushy, or too much? I can think of many who are completely genuine in how they do it. So it's not the marketing that turns a person into someone who's lacking integrity. It's that you're seeing people who lack integrity doing marketing and then attaching the identity of a marketer to those people and thinking you're going to become one of them if you start doing it too. Well, let me tell you right now, good news is you're not. If you start doing marketing, you're still going to be you. It does not change who you are. And there is not one way of doing marketing. Generally, you will do marketing in the way that aligns with you, that is true to yourself. And I would always put a major big stop sign up if you're ever considering following somebody's process that doesn't feel right to you. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right for you. Don't do it. Okay, I have had clients who've come to me and said that their previous coach told them that they needed to make 20 sales calls a day, every day, and that was how they were going to be successful in business. And this poor woman was saying, well, she was a mother, homeschooling 4 kids and trying to run a business. And she's like, I not only don't have time to do that, because when would I ever get any work done if I was spending all that time doing sales calls? But she's like, it just doesn't feel like the right thing for me to be doing. And I was like, you don't have to do that. There is no book that says you must do sales calls or cold call people 20 times a day. Like, you can choose. You can choose the way that you want to do your marketing, the same way as you can choose the way you want to sell. You don't have to make cold calls. You can choose it. You choose what aligns best to you. So usually just those 1 or 2 people that's really changed the avoiders' view on marketing. And I hope that now you can see that by simply doing marketing is not going to change you as a person. It's not going to change who you are. And as long as you stay in integrity and alignment with yourself and what feels right to you, then the way you do marketing will be authentically you as well. Okay, that was type number 1. Type number 2, let's label them the tricksters. And these are the ones that the avoiders don't want to become. So yeah, they do exist. There is a category of people out there who see marketing as a way to trick, convince, manipulate. Basically, they are money hungry and they just want to see dollars in the bank, and they will go to any lengths for it to happen. And they see marketing as a series of different tricks or tools that they can use to do that. Now, if anyone's even thinking about marketing tricks, I'd be like, oh, okay, straight away, it's never a trick, in my opinion. But of course, there are people out there who see marketing as a trick. ultimately what happens with these people, I said that the way you see marketing really correlates to the success you experience in business. Now, we all have heard of the concept of karma, right? What goes around comes around, and whatever you put out is what you get back. Karma is, in my experience in life, absolutely real. And what I see happen with people who are in this category of the trickster is, something might work initially. They might be like, oh, I'm pulling the wool over people's eyes and they're signing up and I'm getting sales, but it always comes back to bite them eventually, sometimes sooner than other times. But, there are most of the time it happens fairly quickly. It does not work for long. As soon as people start realizing this isn't real, it's not authentic, it's a poor experience, the word gets out, things happen, and that person suddenly is finding nothing's working for them anymore. Occasionally, very occasionally, I can think of one or two cases where a person in this category has built a business and managed to fool many people who've handed over lots and lots of money to them. They've got really successful. But interestingly, I have every time seen karma come back and bite them. One of them recently actually died suddenly. So, that's a really big dose of karma, right? And wow, their entire business just literally fell apart, obviously at that time. But the stories that were coming out were just unreal. And there was a lot of karma that happened to even the people in their team who were going along with these ideas and perpetrating it. So I would say that correlates to the success you see in your business is absolutely the intent that you go about it. And that's the second category, the trickster. I'm sure no one listening here falls into that category. If it's you, let's try to change you into one of the other categories. So the third category of people is who I call the builders. Now, these people see marketing as a necessity. They've been around long enough. They're not sort of attached, don't have any trauma with marketing, but they're like, it is a necessary thing that just has to get done. It's one of the cogs in the wheel, makes the wheels turn around, and they see it as very action-based. They're usually very focused on tactics and sort of to a much lesser extent on the strategy behind it. They're seeing it as, I need a plan and I need actions, and they're going through a machine-like motion of getting the things done. So these are usually the people who have a weekly plan, the exact same number of things happen each week, and they're very process-driven by it. And because they're taking the actions and being consistent, usually they do get some level of results. So, they're doing the action, which of course is yes, that's a win because we're doing it. And, they tend to focus on can they improve their tactics and those actions so that they work better. And usually they will see like those small micro improvements in each thing, but then what they're not experiencing are the real breakthrough results, like the really big spurts of growth and the huge things, because they're seeing it as an action. They're looking at it as a tactical part of business. And that brings me to the fourth group, which are the impact makers. Now, this is really where I want everybody to come into this fourth group. And hopefully this episode is helping to change some perception on it. The fourth group are the impact makers. Now, they see marketing as the way to fulfill their purpose. They know that the better they understand marketing, the more impactful they can be in the world, the easier and better they can attract the right people into their world, the more people they can serve. And of course, the flow-on effect from that, the ripple effects of being able to serve more people, is actually creating a bigger impact in the world through it. So they are very much grounded in integrity. They see marketing as a way to engage the right people, to help communicate with them, to help make the decision-making process easier, like to remove those questions that people have, the barriers that are maybe stopping them from doing the very thing that they need to get to their goal, these impact makers see marketing as the process of helping people make that decision. Never convincing, and in fact, they usually will be the ones who are saying, "This is not for you," and please do not sign up if you're any one of these things. They're very clear on who they want to be attracting and who they don't want to attract, and because of that, it's like grounded in authenticity. It's very real. It's much more of an act of service than it is of anything else. So they don't see marketing and they don't treat it as a way to get noisy and in people's faces and all of those things. They really treat it far more like a conversation. Meet someone, get to know them, the conversation's going great places, you're building that relationship, we build an emotional connection, trust, and then it flows into the ultimate next step, which is the same thing that happens in a relationship when you think about it. I know I used that analogy at the start. You don't just walk up to someone and ask them to marry you. You go through the relationship building process, and usually marriage seems like the inevitable next step at the right point. And that's what marketing is doing in your business. It's helping people get to that inevitable next step, which is signing up with you as a client. Now, I think the reason why a lot of people go into those other categories, especially the tricksters, is that they're very impatient. The tricksters in particular are super impatient. They don't want to wait for the relationship. They're just like, I want that to happen now today. It has to happen. I need to make money. Rah, 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 rah. They're very, very impatient. They're probably the generation that are used to just getting everything that they want on the moment that they want it. And I know that anyone who's, Gen Z, that, maybe that's a little bit the way you feel, like I should be there already, and why is this taking so long? It's like good things take time. We've always known that. Humans will tell you that for hundreds of years. And I know that Gen X is probably far more used to understanding that, when you're going to do something worthwhile, it is going to take a bit of time to do it. And the same thing happens with client relationships. The thing is that it doesn't have to take a lot of effort and energy. It may just take time. And some of this is all about the way that you're doing your marketing. It doesn't have to, for each person, take a huge amount of effort. But you can be doing things that are creating that relationship, not just with one person, but with many people at the same time. So therefore, your time is leveraged. And that's the way that I like to teach marketing to my clients, because like me, usually time poor, you usually a working mum, you've got kids, whether they're young. I used to think that life would get a lot easier when they were at school, and I guess initially it did, because you had a sort of a set amount of time each day that they weren't around. But oh my goodness, I was talking about this on my Instagram the other day, is just the fact of when they start doing more activities, and I'm always a person, I want them to experience everything in life. We get into competitive sports, not just one, they're competitive in multiple sports, and wow, it is a huge workload that goes on behind the scenes just to make that possible for them. And they're not even in their teens yet. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I think when you have kids, it's not just a couple of years when they're a baby or a toddler that you've limited time. You've probably got limited time for the next 20 years until they are adults running their own lives and have cars and can get themselves everywhere, and you're no longer required, which, sad but good at the same time. It's a long period of time. So that means it's not just a short-term thing that you're doing with your business. It's like build the structure in so that you can run the business that is going to help you live the life that works for you, that you've got, I'm not going to, when I say balance, sometimes people think it means an equal balance, 50-50. It's never equal, but the right balance for you between family life, work stuff, serving clients, but also time for you. You're important in this. If you weren't there, then all these other things are going to fall apart. So you need to have that balance, and that comes from being able to understand, well, there are smarter ways of doing things. So it brings me back to how you see marketing and selling. It's like there are ways that are very time consuming, very one-to-one. And if you stop doing it, then everything stops. Or there's ways that you can build what I like to call like your marketing machine that's working for you, even when you're sleeping, even when you're on holiday, even when you're anywhere. And it's allowing people to go through these phases of kind of getting to know you. So by the time you're actually actively involved and you're making a sale, then they're already ready. They're ready to sign up. And you're probably just going through the last couple of questions that they might have, or they're checking that you are a real human after all. In this age of AI, I think it's kind of frightening how many people are just following along things that they don't even know whether they're real and believing them and goodness knows what. But anyway, you want to get to that point of the sale and it be just the natural next step. Like, will you marry me? Yes, of course, I'd love to. That's what we want to happen, right? And you know that there's the right time for it. So that is really it. Those are the 4 different types of people and how they perceive marketing that directly relates to what's happening in the business, the type of business that they're running, and the success that they're having. The impact makers are the ones who are experiencing marketing as something that generates inbound people. Like they put out one piece of content, people come in, they listen to it, they see it, they feel compelled to learn more, to know this person, to follow them, to reach out, to take action. And that's how you know it's working. So if you want to know more about how to become an impact maker and really how to rethink your marketing, then I can help you with that. The training I'm running called Master Your Marketing, it's a live series. I say I do this once a year, but I actually didn't do it last year. So this is the first time in 2 years that I'm running it. Brand new content and very much a mix of what I'd call a timeless principles mixed with absolute up-to-date modern day gauge on what's happening in the market, what's working, the vibe, what we actually are needing to be seeing for success today. So come and join me for it. Can't wait to share with you what we can do to turn you into the impact maker, to go from inconsistent clients to having, really predictable demand and of the right people as well, so that that means you can have a business you can rely on financially. It's giving you the income, the life balance that you're after, and it's actually scalable. So you're not stuck with a capacity ceiling, which is usually what keeps people below their 100K earnings. So I'm sharing all that with you in this 3-part series. I know it's going to be heaps of fun. It will be, I know there'll be a lot of mind-blowing moments, I hope. I want to see those emojis in the chat. I'm going to absolutely challenge your thinking, and I love doing that, as you can tell from today. So come along and let's get into it together. How do you join? Well, that's a good question. So register your name, pop your name on the list so that you get access. Go to my website, jessicaosborne.com/MYM. The link is in the show notes, and that's how you can pop your name on the list. And I'll see you there.